This is ABC 7 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Peter Dubois. First tonight, a Stockton Springs mother has been found guilty of murdering her own child.
A.J. Douglas heard from 3-year-old Maddox Williams' grandmother, who says more accountability is needed for the family to heal.
After less than 2 hours of deliberation, a jury found Jessica Williams guilty of depraved indifference murder. Williams was arrested in June 2021 after her 3-year-old son Maddox died from internal injuries in the abdomen. During closing statements, defense attorney Jeffrey Toothacre remained adamant that Maddox's injuries could have resulted from innocent child's play. However, medical examiner Liam Fonte testified Maddox's injuries point to battered child syndrome. Fonte also explained the injuries Maddox suffered could not have been caused by another child due to the level of impact causing internal injuries.
The evidence offered by Dr. Fonte, the Deputy Chief Medical Examiner, indicating the severe injuries for Maddox. I think that what the investigation showed and what the evidence showed was that these injuries could not have been caused in that accidental manner, and that is what the jury's verdict here shows.
Maddox died 4 months after being removed from his paternal grandmother's home. Despite a guilty verdict, she continues to call for action to protect other children from suffering abuse.
Justice for my grandson Maddox, Marissa Kennedy, Kendall Chick, and all the other children wronged by the department will not begin until OCFS is held accountable. Maddox matters, every child matters.
Bose provided emotional words of how she'd like Maddox to be remembered beyond his tragic death.
As a normal 3-year-old that was happy and playful and loved at one time, and still is.
Williams instructed her attorneys not to give comment following the guilty verdict. Williams faces up to 25 years to life. Sentencing is expected to take place in December. In Belfast, A.J. Douglas, ABC 7, Fox 22.
Meanwhile, Augusta police have released a photo of a man wanted for a bank robbery. They say this is the suspect that held up a Camden National Bank on Saturday morning. They say the masked man displayed a gun and demanded an undisclosed amount of money before fleeing on foot. He's described as being 5 feet 7 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall. He weighs around 150 to 180 pounds. He was last seen wearing a jacket and dark athletic pants, possibly with a light stripe. Anyone with information about the suspect should contact the Augusta Police Department. You can reach them at 207-626-2370.
Lake Glenburn woman has been sentenced to 20 years in prison on federal drug and firearms charges. According to court records, 31-year-old Danielle McBrady conspired with others to distribute and possessed with the intent to distribute methamphetamine and fentanyl in Penobscot and Aroostook counties. In 2020, she was also found illegally possessing a gun. When she is finished with her sentence, McBrady will have 5 years of supervised release.
Maine game wardens have recovered the body of a missing Vinyl Haven man. 31-year-old Owen Adair was last seen on October 13th. Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife spokesperson Mark Lottie says he was reported missing yesterday after his ATV was found near Folly Pond. His boots and a canoe with some personal items were also found along the shoreline. The Maine Warden Service began searching the pond this morning. Divers recovered his body just after noon. His body was then taken to the state medical examiner's office in Augusta.
U.S. Marshals in Maine have arrested 82 violent fugitives over the last 6 months. It's part of a Department of Justice initiative aimed at combating violent crimes in cities and towns across the state of Maine. From the beginning of April through the end of September, the DOJ says the U.S. Marshals arrested fugitives wanted for homicides, sex offenses, and other violent crimes. 19 fugitives were captured for crimes involving dangerous drugs, 17 for felony assaults, 9 for weapons offenses, and 2 for homicides. Others were arrested for offenses including rape, kidnapping, and carjacking.
Bruce Poliquin spoke about border security during a press conference at the Republican headquarters in Bangor today. The Republican District 2 candidate reflected on his trip to the southern border, which he claimed to be wide open under the Biden administration, and he urged incumbent Jared Golden to visit the border himself. Poliquin claimed current policies are to blame for an influx of fentanyl coming into the U.S. He said securing the southern border would be a top priority for him if elected, touting his endorsement by the National Border Patrol Council.
They extend these endorsements to individuals who they know have a record of supporting law enforcement along our borders or with our state police or our sheriffs or our local PDs. I am that person.
In response, Representative Golden's campaign released a statement saying, quote, Mainers know Jared Golden has a strong record standing up to his party and supporting border security. During his time in Congress, he voted to send far more resources, including the border wall, physical barriers, border infrastructure, personnel, and more to strengthen the border than Bruce Poliquin ever did in his 4 years in office. Jared knows local law enforcement has an essential role to play in the fight against fentanyl in our state, and he's proud to have earned the endorsement of the two biggest law enforcement groups in Maine over Mr. Poliquin, end quote.
The city of Ellsworth has announced plans for a new police department. Our Matthew Jurancic has more.
Ellsworth City Council voted 5-2 in favor of moving the police department to 416 High Street Monday night. The police unit currently shares the same building as City Hall and the Ellsworth Fire Department.
The area is cramped. It's not ergonomically acceptable, and there's several security concerns because of windows and things like that.
According to Police Chief and City Manager Glenn Mosier, under the new agreement, Ellsworth will be leasing the High Street property for more than $100,000 a year over a 20-year span, with the rent increasing 3% each year. However, some Ellsworth taxpayers say they don't agree with the decision.
I feel that the police station that we have now is adequate. They are taxing the businesses and the private owners of land in Ellsworth right out of their homes. Taxes are ridiculously high.
Mosier says the transition will be well worth the cost and help with the department better serving the community.
It's going to provide a significant amount of additional space for the police department, allow us to grow, allow us to develop, to grow with our community as the community continues to grow, and provide more opportunity for the police department to be able to do things correctly.
This is the building that the police department is going to take over, and despite it being a little farther away from City Hall, Police Chief Mosier tells me this is the best place for the police department.
We're going to have an opportunity to have safe and state-of-the-art equipment for our officers, for our storage of our evidence, for our criminal prosecution of cases. So it provides us a lot more space for our officers, our detectives, and our supervisors.
And with the new facility, the city voted to invest more than $800,000 in renovations, which include remodeling the main floor and basement, upgrading its HVAC, and installing new private fencing. In the end, Mosier says everyone benefits with this decision.
It's really much more than just a win for the police department. I think it's a win for fire, and it's a win for the city overall, because now we have an opportunity to focus on other needs.
Matthew Jurancic, ABC7 and Fox 22.
So some big developments there, and we'll continue to follow them as they evolve.
Yep, also some developments outdoors as well.
Yeah.
We've been experiencing just a lot of, I guess, wet weather lately.
Yeah, for sure.
That trend continuing into today as well.
Some of it being impactful, too. We saw some pretty harrowing pictures from over the weekend.
Yeah.
Today seemed a bit more tame than the weather that caused that, but still inclement and not so pleasant to be outside.
Yep, well, hopefully some sunshine in our future.
Let's hope, and with a little bit more on that, we'll take a first check of our forecast.
It's Tuesday, and our first weather today is brought to you by GRF, a real estate company. All right, and lots of rain all across the state today. Today is one of those days where it's just not a good day to be outside. Windy conditions and rainy as well has been continuing all throughout the day today, and that's going to continue into overnight tonight. Associated with this low right here, creating lots of rain showers, even a couple of thunderstorms all the way into Quebec. So really another big low pressure system in the area. But take a look at these temperatures now. It is middle of October, and this is well above our average lows for this time of year. We had a really mild start to the day. 56 in Bangor today, even mid to upper 50s closer to the coast. So It feels like middle of summer starting out the day in the 50s, even a couple of 60s. Then we really rebounded in temperatures, mid-60s here in Bangor. Same thing by Bar Harbor. Rockland coming in at 61 degrees earlier today. Same thing in Waterville, but later on tonight, temperatures will continue to be really on the mild end, hovering in those mid-50s as rain showers continue to come down.
I'm willing to bet with that rain, the overnight's going to be a bit chillier than it looks. So bearing that in mind if for one reason or another you're out and about.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, still to come on ABC 7 News at 6. Next year's ballot could feature a referendum question to make Maine a right to repair state. We'll explain.
And a nonprofit raises money to repair the damaged Isla Haute service dock in Stonington. All those stories and much more as ABC 7 News at 6 continues.
I was a public health nurse for 29 years. I went into the homes of my neighbors, including many seniors, and cared for them. Then Paul LePage became governor, and everything changed. He kicked seniors off Maine's low-cost prescription drug plan. He cut a Social Security program when it was needed most, and even opposed Meals on Wheels funding. How cruel is that? We can't go back to Paul LePage.
The top funder of Better Maine is the Democratic Governors Association.
She's been learning about the founding of our country, about rights and freedoms that today are under assault. Politician Bruce Poliquin supported amending the U.S. Constitution to ban abortion. He even voted for a nationwide ban. Poliquin would allow politicians to stand between women and their doctors. He supported allowing states to outlaw abortion even in cases of rape or incest. We can't let Bruce Poliquin back in Congress.
DCCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Joe Baldacci was born, raised, and educated right here in Bangor. He's promoted and supported hundreds of millions of dollars in commercial and economic development projects. He has fought to protect vital services from drastic budget cuts. In his first term in the state Senate, Joe delivered for his constituents in Bangor and Herman on jobs, school funding, expansion of health care, and protecting the environment. Joe Baldacci, delivering results for the people of Bangor and Herman.
The better way to a better window. Renewal by Anderson.
Hi everyone, it's Troy Pearl. Prices are going up on everything, but we can help bring your energy costs down. All this month, when you buy 4 of our energy-saving windows, we'll give you a 5th for free, plus an additional $150 off your entire project. For a free in-home consultation, visit rbagreatermaine.com.
The better way to a better window. Renewal by Anderson.
87,000 new IRS agents. Jared Golden and the Democrats in Congress voted to hire them. They doubled the size of the IRS to seize another $20 billion in new taxes from the middle class. And now Democrats openly threaten to raise taxes again next year. Jared Golden won't stop them. He votes with Biden and Pelosi 83% of the time. It's a war on the middle class, and Jared Golden marches with them. The NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back. A new referendum could be on next year's ballot asking voters if they'd like Maine to become a right to repair state. Secretary of State Shenna Bellows says signatures are now being collected to add the question to the 2023 ballot.
We just issued a new referendum petition to people advocating for a right to repair modeled on a law that has been in place in Massachusetts for quite some time.
Now, under current law, many manufacturers send repair data and maintenance info directly to dealers while withholding it from consumers and local shops. A right to repair law aims to give motorists the option to go to the mechanic of their choice or work on their vehicles themselves without being forced to go to the dealer.
Well, switching gears now, a nonprofit that operates the only ferry service for the island community of Isla Haute says they need a significant amount of funding. Age and weather have not been kind to the Isla Haute boat service dock in Stonington. Senior Captain Garrett Aldrich says it's developed a sizable rotten spot down the center of the dock.
We are sort of the lifeline to Isla Haute in many aspects. We carry the mail down there, but beyond the mail, we take a lot of the groceries, a lot of the lumber, building materials, cement, stone, you name it, down to the island.
Aldrich says repairs will cost at least $1.6 million. They've applied for grants, but they will only cover a small portion of the cost if they get them. He says as a nonprofit, they may need to look for donations or whatever funding they can find.
To find another dock that would be suitable, like what we have, is pretty much non-existent in Stonington. We really need to get this built up and taken care of and secure.
Aldrich says they hope to begin repair by the winter of 2023-2024.
And here's hoping they get the money and resources they need for those repairs.
That does not sound like a small task by any stretch of the imagination, and certainly a lifeline for that area.
Right.
So again, hopefully they'll get the funding they need.
Very important there. Well, still to come on ABC 7 News at 6, a local couple spots an unlikely creature during their drive through Mount Vernon.
And in sports, one Maine football lineman was huge in the Black Bears' second straight win on Saturday, and they look to keep it rolling into the weekend. We'll have that story right after the break.
Jay Leno live in concert.
Researchers at Washington University report that 100,000 years from now, the average size of the human head will greatly increase. They say the larger the head and the larger the jaw, the more sexually attractive people will be. So I am 100,000 years ahead of my time. That's right.
Saturday, October 22nd, Collins Center for the Arts, Orono, Maine. Tickets on sale now at waterfrontconcerts.com.
Now's the time to get a great deal on taking care of your property. You need tractors rated #1 in durability and owner experience so you can do it all and do it right. Z-Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Right now, bring home the Kubota BX Series for 0 down, 0% APR for 60 months, plus save up to $700.
She's been learning about the founding of our country, about rights and freedoms. Freedoms that today are under assault. Politician Bruce Poliquin supported amending the U.S. Constitution to ban abortion. He even voted for a nationwide ban. Poliquin would allow politicians to stand between women and their doctors. He supported allowing states to outlaw abortion even in cases of rape or incest. We can't let Bruce Poliquin back in Congress.
DCCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Seniors know a scam when they see one, like Bruce Poliquin.
My heart is breaking for our seniors in Maine.
He says he'll help Maine seniors, but the last time Poliquin was in Congress, he voted to cut $500 billion from Medicare, and he supports raising the retirement age for Social Security. Maine seniors can trust Jared Golden. Jared stood up to both parties to protect Social Security and Medicare.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message because Maine seniors earned their retirement.
It's simple, and it's not an imaginary threat. In fact, it's happening right now all over the country. Bruce Poliquin would hand over control of our healthcare decisions to politicians. Poliquin would allow politicians like him to make abortion illegal, even in the case of rape and incest. But that's not the end of the story. Poliquin also supported a national abortion ban, so even if Maine says no, we still lose control of our healthcare decisions. Bruce Poliquin is a risk we just can't take. Center Forward Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Tonight's sports is brought to you by Body Graphics Tattoo and Piercing Studio. Visit us at our new location at 27 Bangor Mall Boulevard in the Mid-Mall, 478-7856.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. It was another win for Maine football this past Saturday. They're now 5-0 in their last 5 homecoming games. Quick stat right there. And a big part of the win was the defense. They held one of the top offenses in the conference in check for most of the game, and leading the way was junior Kyrie Mans.
Once we got to play complimentary football, we started to get the dub.
For the second straight week, Maine football hit the locker room Saturday victorious, with an impressive 38-28 win over Monmouth, keeping the top rushing attack in the conference at bay for 60 minutes of football.
Defensive line had an impact in the game, in the run game and the pass game. Monmouth was a team that was rushing for 246 yards a game, so to hold them to 112 and hold their top running back to 80 80 yards was huge, and so that starts up front.
Leading the way up front this past week was Kyrie Mance, who forced a fumble, recorded a career-high 11 tackles, a sack and a half, and more, all earning him CAA Defensive Player of the Week.
He's a really good player. He's fast off the edge for us. Just gets me a lot better during practice. Going with him all camp. Really just trying to get out of the pocket, get away from that guy. He's quick, gets up the field fast.
We got something special going on. We just stuck to our routine and continue to take it one day at a time. And we just played black hole football. We had to get back to that black hole mentality. We had to swarm to the ball and create takeaways and stop the run, and that's exactly what we did. And as you see, we got the W.
And the D-line isn't the only place where his impact has been felt this season.
Kyrie is continuing to get better, especially the past couple weeks. Last week, he was our special teams player of the game. He's a guy that's on all 4 special teams, making an impact on special teams. And now, looking at defensively, he's always been a guy on third down. His role has increased first and second down as well.
Now, he and the Black Bears are preparing for a matchup with Stony Brook on Saturday. And even though the Seawolves' record doesn't say it, Maine knows it's not going to be an easy victory.
Football is a game of momentum. That's the beautiful part about it. And I know they're a hungry team, and much respect to them. We don't look at the record, even though they are 0-6. We don't look at the record. We just continue to respect every opponent and take it one day at a time and do the same thing we did last week and come up with the dub.
All right, looking at 3 straight on Saturday. Quick turnaround for Maine football. They have been rolling lately and doing all of the little things right, too. Those all add up. All right, moving on. It is a busy night in Boston sports, too. The Celtics open the season officially at home at 7:30 against Philadelphia. They'll be honoring Bill Russell pregame. The C's are coming off their first finals appearance since the Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett days, and in my opinion, they've gotten better over the offseason. First game for Joe Mazzulla as a head coach as well. Pretty crazy. A few years ago, he was at Fairmount State coaching the D2 ranks. Also for Boston teams, Jim Montgomery and the Bruins are looking for a perfect 4-0 start. They are on the road against Ottawa. That puck drops at 7 p.m. All right, that is all the time we have for sports. Here is your full 5-day forecast.
Thank you so much. Our main weather today is brought to you by Thornton Brothers. Thornton Brothers in Lincoln. Buy a new or used Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram vehicle from us today. You'll make the drive and we'll make the deal. And visibilities are a low outside associated with all that rain still falling out of the sky. It is coming down pretty hard at that. Waterville, Augusta really have some low visibilities because of this rain right over here. All this green across the state looks more scattered right now than what we had overnight last night, but still something to worry about as this is a big low pressure system. Lots of rain still off the coast. Even by Quebec, same thing in the upper Midwest, some of it mixing with snow up there. For us, though, just the rain as temperatures are on the higher end, but that rain will be continuing overnight tonight. And then for the morning hours tomorrow before finally starting to move out and sunshine will return. So I have a light at the end of the tunnel. Weather will be much, much nicer starting the afternoon hours tomorrow. But because of this rain right now still lingering in the area, we do have some flood area watches that are in effect until 12 p.m. tomorrow. And some small craft advisories also in effect that have been extended until 6 a.m. on Thursday, of course, by the coast, as this storm is brewing and it is causing lots of high waves and gusty winds all across the state, but especially right by the coast. So if you are on the boats out and about, take extra precautions. Today, though, temperatures really mild outside. It was feeling nice. 64 earlier in Bangor, same thing in Bar Harbor. A little bit cooler by Rockland and Waterville, coming in with those low 60s, but still well above average temperatures today. Our average high closer to 57 degrees. And take a look at the next week. So tomorrow we'll have above average temperatures, and Thursday into Friday near average. Look what happens right in time for the weekend and into beginning of next week. 60s will be back, so enjoy it while it lasts, because of course, the longer we wait, the cooler the temperatures will be. It is fall, so we are on that warmer trend with temperatures right now, but a cool down will be on the way in the next couple of weeks. Winds are another issue we have to worry about, so hold your hats because it's been windy today. Bar Harbor coming in with a 15-mile-an-hour wind speed gust and gusts close to 30. Same thing in Bangor. There are some isolated locations with even higher wind gusts. So that's going to continue into tonight and then finally start to simmer down by tomorrow. But by the morning hours tomorrow, look at Machias, 20s and even 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts in the most eastern part of our state. And then by Thursday, we're all looking pretty good. Maybe a 15-mile-an-hour wind gust at that. So really big difference by our Thursday. Tonight, though, temperatures will be mild once again. 51 as a low. Showers and thunderstorms will be lingering in the area tonight. And our extended forecast outlook does show warm temperatures sticking around. And now we enter into a dry weather pattern. Look at Thursday, Friday, and right in time for the weekend. Lots of sunshine with temperatures back into the 60s by the weekend.
And for those of us who got poured on over the weekend, I'm guessing that forecast is at least a bit of a relief for some.
Yeah, looking like a beautiful weekend ahead. Here's hoping we don't jinx it by saying so, but
right.
Yeah.
It's also early in the week.
It is.
Always have to be mindful of that, folks.
All right, well, so there's more to come after the break, so stay with us.
I'll always be an independent fighter for you.
Maybe he used to be. But when it mattered, Jared Golden helped Joe Biden hike taxes by billions on people making as little as $20,000 a year and nearly doubled the IRS, targeting middle-class families for more, all while giving new tax breaks to the elite. Jared Golden. He's not our independent fighter anymore. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Joe Biden is crushing Maine. And who does Jared Golden support?
Golden's backing Biden.
Jared Golden said Joe Biden has
leadership that the country needs right now.
Higher taxes, record inflation, and still
Golden's backing Biden.
In D.C., Joe Biden relies on Jared Golden's votes.
President Joe Biden, and I'm asking you to vote for Jared Golden.
Jared Golden says he's independent, but anytime it matters, Golden's backing Biden.
I'm Bruce Poliquin, and I approve this message.
Janet Mills's education department was teaching kindergartners radical transgender policies. Now it's pushing a curriculum telling students they're racist if they use certain terms. All lives matter, mass incarceration, calling the police on black people, all racist. Janet Mills closed our schools and our kids fell behind. And now she's pushing her radical education agenda. No more politics in schools, no more Janet Mills. The top funder of the Maine Republican Party is the Republican Governors Association.
87,000 new IRS agents. Jared Golden and the Democrats in Congress voted to hire them. They doubled the size of the IRS to seize another $20 billion in new taxes from the middle class. And now Democrats openly threaten to raise taxes again next year. Jared Golden won't stop them. He votes with Biden and Pelosi 83% of the time. It's a war on the middle class, and Jared Golden marches with them. The NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Joe Biden and Janet Mills are working together to crush Maine families with rising costs. Mills and Democrats' radical plan targeting gas and home heating fuel will raise Maine's gas tax by up to 40 cents a gallon. And Mills' new tax on food and household essentials will increase monthly grocery bills by nearly $60. End the Biden-Mills crush on Maine families. Stop Janet Mills. The top funder of Maine Families First is Thomas Klingenstein.
I'm Phil Levesque, president of Levesque Business Solutions. We're a family-owned Maine business since 1963. We're your one-stop shop for great office products at affordable rates. From copiers to office furniture to PPE, we've got it all warehoused right here in Bangor. We're your local small Maine business with a dedicated staff providing honest and friendly customer service, top-of-the-line tech support, and the option of in-house leasing. Let us help you get back to business.
Welcome back. Sundays can be the perfect day for a scenic drive, especially this time of year. For Scott LaLiberty and Melinda Turner, driving along the North Road in Mount Vernon, seeing an emu walking alongside of them, well, that made for a special moment caught on camera.
It took me a while to process it, but I told her, I said, you know, it probably isn't every day you see an emu, and we could probably drive, you know, for 100,000 miles and never see another emu walking down the road.
Scott tells us he had heard that the emu had escaped from a local farm in Mount Vernon during a storm earlier this summer. Her name is Harriet, and she apparently has a boyfriend named Ozzy that can't wait for her to get home. And here's hoping that they can catch her, and she does. What a gorgeous, gorgeous creature, but definitely not exactly in the safest of places right now.
Absolutely not. And, you know, on first thought, if I were to see an animal like that,
I'm not sure I would believe what I was seeing.
Right.
At
I would
first.
probably think, like, is this a ginormous turkey that fell
very,
into
very tall turkey?
Right, like a vat of, you know, like, I don't know, something that like made it like a super turkey, but
I don't know.
Yeah, because you just don't see
you
that.
You just don't see it. But here's hoping that Harriet gets home safely to her Ozzy.
Absolutely.
And that is going to do it for us, folks. Take care and have a great night.
Good night, everyone.